Good afternoon. This is the town board meeting of August 2nd, 2011. I want to apologize. Our supervisor, Walter, has a family emergency, and he couldn't attend today's meeting. So I just want to wish him all the luck with him and his family. What we're going to do is we're going to have an invocation by Rabbi Simmers. So could you come up here, Rabbi? And you can use the microphone. Thank you. Oh, Rabbi, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance first, okay? Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want us to stand or sit?
Please be seated. Good afternoon. In the Jewish calendar, we're at a special time of year. It's the period called the 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago was the fast of the 17th of Tammuz. A week from today is the fast of the 9th of Av. This is a time of tremendous introspection, of prayer, and reflection, in which we reflected over the course of our long history that success in all of our endeavors is not a guarantee, but it only comes from the hard work of citizens and government alike. Our traditions call us to bear with humility our responsibilities of family, of faith, citizenship, and governance. May God watch over us as we struggle to fulfill our missions. May God bless this nation in His world. May God strengthen those of us in our midst who have stepped forward to bear the burdens of leadership. And may our faithfulness guide all of us to be effective stewards of community. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi. And now what we're going to do is the first Tuesday in August is always National Night Out. And we have a person here who supports this every year, Robert Dunnigan. So I'm going to call on Councilman Wooten, because he's liaison to the police department, to get up and give him a proclamation.
All right, actually, tonight is National Night Out. It's the first Tuesday of August. This is Riverhead's 28th year, right?
Correct.
28th year observing National Night Out. And what it is a community awareness where neighbors would come together out front, put the light on, come to know each other as neighbors, help to watch one another's property, all the things that go along with just making the community a safer place, to report suspicious activity. And also, I think part of today is also, you'll see some posters out front. Lieutenant Bowden will go into that. We have a poster contest that the children take on during the summer programs, and we have awards for that Mr. Dunnigan provides. But my purpose here, Bob, is to Mr. Dunnigan from Schwing Electric. He's been with us for as long as I can remember. How many years?
21 is our 21st year doing
21st year assisting Riverhead Police Department with their National Night Out program. And he accompanies the teams that go out tonight between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. They go out to, I think there's 8 scheduled parties tonight, block parties, where the police come along with Schwing Electric, and they give out lots of awards to people and prizes and whatnot. And my 6-year-old's going to love this thing till I snap it in half. But all these nice little prizes they give out for people who participate. So we encourage all of that.
And free light bulbs.
And free light bulbs.
That's the big thing.
Which is really the big thing.
That's the big thing.
Because we got to leave, National Night Out, you got to leave the light on, you need a light bulb. So, but on behalf of the town, I have a proclamation. I'm not going to read it because you're such a part of our community, and you do this year after year after year. And I don't want to repeat what we already know. We appreciate what you do for us. This is recognition from the town for your services to our town, to our community, to our police department, and then the service of National Night Out. So we thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much.
your job.
Okay,
Do you want the microphone?
I don't think I need it. I'd just like to thank the town board for their support for this every year. We've been doing this, as I said, I don't want to bore you. Councilman Wooten was actually a member of our crime prevention unit, so he's very familiar with it. It's a great program. The police department is there to assist you with trying to organize your neighborhoods a little bit if you wish to do that, to make the whole town and all our neighborhoods a little bit safer place than they are, and they're safe already. But it's a great night to get out. If you don't participate, just take a walk outside, turn your light on. Maybe you'll attract some neighbors. You might actually have a conversation with somebody you don't know. That's the whole purpose of it, to get to know your neighbors and stuff like that a little bit better. We've been doing it a long time. We believe in it. And the support of the town board, the chief of police, it's been a great program. And Bob Dunnigan's been our biggest supporter. We also have, I don't want to dismiss Target, has been on board with this also, and they're going out with us tonight. We have all kinds of giveaways to give away. But this is the traditional kickoff for it. And we do that with a poster contest. We have a poster contest with the summer camps that the town of Riverhead runs every year. And it's always a tough decision to pick the winners. And I think Officer Kibetz, who's been a member of our crime prevention unit now for 3 or 4 years, had a lot to do with picking the winner, so I'm not going to take any blame for who won or who didn't. All I know is it's always a theme of crime prevention, and it's great to get the kids, what their imaginations are. You get a lot of dogs and, and things like that. You actually get some with lights. I haven't really looked at it too closely, but I'm sure they're good this year. But you know what? It's a community thing, and it's a great kickoff with Bob Dunnigan and Schwington. They support this also by giving out great prizes. So that's why the kids are here. So without any further ado,
Get the prizes.
we're going to give the prizes, and we're going to call the winners up when you come up. Just stay up here for a second, and we'll get a little photo thing with you, and then I guess that'll be it, right? You guys. Okay. We had 2 groups of winners. The first was the 6 to 8-year-old group. And we'll go from 3rd to 1st. The third place winner, I hope is here, is Jacob Schiavone. If I said it right. Jacob's not here? All right, we'll hold his prize. That's fine. That's all the supporters in the back there, I guess. All right, I know the 2nd place winner is here because I saw him and I saw his parents. Chase Wannett.
Chase, for getting 2nd place, you get 4 ship at Miniature Golf out at the East End Outdoor Family Fun Center, and you get to pick something that will really annoy your parents. So. Every year we try and come up with a different toy. 21 years we've never duplicated the toys. So,
Stay up here until we get the first place. There you go. Come on over here.
you can just turn that. Turn that.
And the first place winner is Devin Green. Devin, come on up.
For first place, you get 4 tickets to Splish Splash.
Over there. Okay. And now we have the 9 to 12 group, and 3rd place for that is Marina Tedesco. Marina here? No, Marina. Okay, that's okay. 2nd place is Carla Crump. I think she's here.
Congratulations. And again, you get 4 ship from Major Golf. That's great to hear.
First place is Keely McMullen Smith. Here we go.
Congratulations. Very good. 4 tickets to Splish Splash. Wow. And just so I can mention it, the 3rd place was some ice cream at both Snowflake and Dairyland. They are local businesses that we try and support, so that's the 3rd place prize.
That's it for what we do. I'd just like to thank the parents for coming out and seeing your children win the prizes, and for the rest of the campers. It's a great show of support for what we do and for what they did. So thank you again, and thanks again to the town board.
If anybody out there wants to form a neighborhood watch, they just contact you, right?
Correct. Yes, we're more than glad to come out and show you how to do it. It's not very hard. We'll get you going. So.
I want everybody to have a neighborhood watch in their community.
Here we go.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were having the Ribbon Energy Awareness on Saturday.
I just found out 5 minutes ago.
I like the reading of the proclamation.
Wholesale, got it.
Congratulations.
Thinking about 2,600 thinking about
I didn't want you guys you can have any color you want.
That's so good. That's fun. Thank you.
I
I knew you'd like them.
Thank you. We'll just wait a few minutes until all the children leave.
All right. If you see me go like this, that means no.
Okay, we'll continue on. Diane, reports and communications?
Okay, under applications, we received from PC Richard, summer tent sale for August 4th through the 16th. Under reports, tax receiver, utility collection report for June, $254,785.71. Total tax collection for the year, $126,563,469.57. Town clerk monthly report for July, $8,118.99. Sewer district discharge monitoring report for June 2011 was submitted. And hold on. Under correspondence, 8 emails and 125 postcards requesting adoption of a short-term moratorium for the Wading River corridor. Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition, a letter urging town board to cease review of the Nightland project proposed for Wading River. Larry Oxman, letter regarding FOIL number 810 of 2011. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you. And can I have a motion for the minutes of last month's meeting?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the town board meeting dated July 19th, 2011. So moved.
And second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
So moved.
Aye.
That's it. That's it. Okay.
Shauna's the only one that abstained on that.
That's it. And we have 2 public hearings. And seeing the time is 2:15, we have a public hearing at 2:05. The consideration of proposed local law to amend Chapter 108 of the River Town Code entitled Zoning. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, you want to?
Oh.
Or you want?
Actually, yes. When I first took office, I took a look at downtown and had been taking a look at downtown for several years and coming up with solutions on what I think could potentially create foot traffic, to visit the businesses that we have downtown, and to also encourage more businesses to come. So I had proposed to the board to allow for professional offices on the first floor of the houses in downtown that are zoned in the DC5 zoning district, to allow for professional offices without it being owner-occupied. So we have had several discussions on this. I believe we have discussed it at work session a couple of times. We've refined it down and are having the public hearing today. So if anybody has any comments.
Anybody with any comments? Yes.
Just something quick. Dominique Mendez, Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition. One of the issues, I guess, what concern would be that if it's a single lot, that's one thing, but that, and we've recently found out sometimes you might not foresee that lots could be combined, and then all of a sudden there could possibly be an office that was much larger and kind of was a problem within the community, so that maybe it be only limited to one lot, or that lots of a certain size, or that lots can't be combined.
We're
something
actually
like that.
encouraging the lots to be merged together. to provide for additional parking if needed for the businesses downtown. This was permitted at one time to have professional offices in the older houses, and a lot of the older houses and historic houses that we have downtown are falling apart.
Right.
And they're not being maintained, so I saw this as an opportunity to get people to buy up those houses and fix those houses up to keep the historical integrity of downtown while generating much needed foot traffic in order to preserve our downtown and to promote the businesses that we have downtown. So
Right.
now that the courts are in full operation and we have lawyers that are visiting us from up west or from out east, I also saw it as an employment opportunity for local residents to take up employment in those houses and be running back and forth to the courts rather than the wear and tear on our roadways in establishments and lawyers and title companies coming from up west or out east to Riverhead, that we could handle it within Riverhead and it would allow for the opportunity for these houses to be fixed up.
Yeah, the issue I would raise is that since it is has been a strictly residential area, that may be larger, you might want to consider that maybe some of those, if they were combined and it were larger facilities, that might not really be appropriate with neighbors right next door. That's all I'm saying.
More than half the houses there are less than 0.17% of an acre. They're at 0.05. So to accommodate them, if they wanted to have an office building, they would have to combine 2 or 3 lots just to get to the acreage needed. So it's not to expand the ones that are over this. It's to try to get the ones that are under it to expand and to build. We're trying to revitalize the DC5 area.
Right.
And this is one way we can do it, by thinning out the residential property there and making offices and residential.
Right. The residential component would still exist and the existing houses would exist and they would be considered commercial applications, which would be coming before the Architectural Review Board. And the aesthetics of the residential community would remain intact. But you have to have at least 0.17 of an acre in order to have a business on that property. Otherwise, you have to compile lots in order to provide for parking and accessory uses.
Right,
So-
0.17 is an extreme, but if all of a sudden so many were combined that it became a large facility, I think that might be an issue with the residences around. That's all I'm saying. If you had an acre and then all of a sudden they had lights and it became a lot of traffic and huge because of the residences.
Yeah, but we do have the dark skies ordinance, which says that they have to point the lights downward. So I don't see that as being an issue because we have other protections and safeguards within the code that would keep the integrity of the residential aesthetic nature of downtown.
Well, but wasn't I really think that the motivation for this was to also, I agree with you, to fix up some of the houses down there that are historic value, but to allow somewhat of accessory apartments or livable space or walkable community for people that don't necessarily own the building.
Right.
So it's not really for expansion of business as much as it is probably prevent housing as well, and not restrict it just to owner occupied.
But speaking
It's
to what you
really
said,
to not restrict it from being owner occupied, because right now the code says that if you can have a business on the first floor, but you have to live on the second floor. And that doesn't work for a lot of people that don't necessarily want to live in downtown Riverhead, but they may want to have a business in downtown Riverhead and a smaller space. So
but speaking of what you said, if you take a look at the attorney's office on 2nd Street and Griffin Avenue, that was 3 building lots they put together and built that. I think it's a real gorgeous building they have there. It looks like it's a resident, but it's an office building, and they joined 3 lots together and built that. So it's picking up that area, and it's making, the beautification is what we're trying to get in this area.
Right.
and the parking would be required on site as to
Right.
where right now it's not. So
Right. That makes sense. I'm just considering maybe safeguards to imagine how it could be if went a little too far and just put some maximum limits or just safeguards, just so that it doesn't end up being something you didn't want it to be, not what you do want it to be.
Right. Well, like I said, it would be a commercial application that would go before the Architectural Review Board, and that the Architectural Review Board takes into consideration the aesthetics of the surrounding community and makes sure that what is being proposed fits in with the nature and character of the surrounding community.
Yes.
Thank you, Dominique.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak on this? Yes, Larry.
Good afternoon, Larry Oxman. I would encourage the board to consider this legislation and amendment to the zoning change. I think it's very positive. Riverhead is very fortunate that it has the court system here, and I think that historically has been a saving grace for the downtown. Well, the downtown languished on a retail capacity many years ago. The attorneys did not. The attorneys took housing stock that was run down and just kept it in very nice shape. It's a pleasure to look at. 2nd Street, you use the example of Toomey Latham, Shea, and Kelly in the combination. I think that's a great example. This is a small geographical area of the town, and I think that this is well warranted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good to see you, Councilman Dunleavy. Angela DeVito, South Jamesport. I just have a question. In this area of the DC5 zoning downtown, how many such properties that fall between this 0.05 and don't quite reach the 0.17 acreage exist?
I'll get Rick. Rick
did
I know
he
counted
did a
that.
study on it.
I know we have it, I just want to have it.
We have it.
We did an analysis, a frequency analysis.
Can you use your microphone, please?
I think this.
No.
No, it was more like 3/4 of them that were.
We did a frequency analysis of all the parcels within the district. I want to say there were probably close to 60 or 70 parcels. I would say the median size was 0.2 acres, something like that. I have the data on my desk if you want it, but there are a significant number of parcels that meet that, and there's also the potential for assembling the smaller parcels.
I guess my question is because Councilman Giglio has pointed out that it's for those smaller properties, not the ones that are at the 0.2, because they already meet the threshold to be able to do what you're suggesting be done. So it's a question of how many of those properties exist, how many of them are contiguous with each other, or are they just spotted out like this, which would make putting together parcels a harder objective in terms of encouraging people to come and utilize this. And the other thing is, of these properties, which of them fall within the downtown historic district?
Well, actually,
and would
several
also
of
have
them.
to become before the LPC as they're considering putting together and doing things, as well as the Architectural Review Board for those recommendations for aesthetics and fitting in with the general environment. I'm sure you're aware of that the state of New York is now looking at not single buildings in the historic district, but saying every building that's within the district must now be considered as part of the historic district and be treated as such.
Well, I don't understand that to be true.
Yeah,
To
actually,
be
the
factual.
LPC has been told that.
But because I sit on the LPC and I sit in on all the meetings with the LPC, and I know that SHPO is coming out on Thursday, August 10th, and we'll be doing a walk
Review.
around through downtown and through the downtown areas. I know that any project that is applying for grant funding through the historic district and any of the surrounding parcels, if development is to occur, that those applications must be sent to the state
Correct.
for consideration.
Yeah.
So
You're correct there. You're right. And the last consideration I have is, has the town received inquiries from potential individuals who wish to have this type of arrangement? For example, you've suggested that law firms, professional firms from Up Island, in order to reduce their, very much like the DMUMA concept, to reduce their travel time as well as that, would be willing here. Has there been inquiries here in the town for that sort of thing, which sort of acts as the stimulus for perhaps changing this zoning for the DC5?
I have not had any applications thus far with pertaining to this legislation, but I can say that one of the recommendations that I had asked the board to consider when I took office was to allow for manufacturing in Industrial C. And since that time, when we have adopted that legislation, we have several applications that have come forward for manufacturing in Industrial C, such as the bakery, the Blue Duck Bakery,
Right.
which is going to be coming, and then we also have the Long Island Brewery, because they're manufacturing
Pulaski, yeah.
for the and the wholesale uses. So if we create the legislation and we allow it for these types of uses, I believe they will come. So as of
So
yet,
there really
we
has
can-
there hasn't been a synergy
No, it's more
between the
vision.
potential
No, but I think
for
this is
it
one-
and anything else.
Yes, right. It's the board being proactive, creating the environment, and then they will come. And it's
Kind
all
of like
part of
building the Field of
revitalization of that
Dreams.
area. which is
Okay.
Well, and
very
the lot
important.
size, Angela, is basically for parking. Anything smaller than 1.17, we're not
No,
gonna.
I understand the size restrictions and such, but it's just considering, again, how many there
I
are
have the
there.
whole-
If
I
you
have
only
all-
had a few, if there were only 2 or 3 of
no.
them,
But
is
I
it
can
really
share that
worth
with you.
changing your
There's lots
zoning
of
for
lots.
that and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
But, and as Rick has said, the majority of them meet the .2 or above when he did this particular inventory of them. So it just seems that, if you're going to do legislation, it should be driven in part by the density of what you're trying to achieve and what is there already. That's all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
but-
you.
Yes.
Do we have anybody else who would like to speak on, at this public hearing? If not, I'll close this portion, and we'll keep it open until August 12th? Okay, we'll keep it open for written comment until August 12th. Thank you. All right, now seeing the time is 2:29, we have a 2:10 public hearing. The consideration of a proposed special use permit petition of R&K Precision Auto Works Incorporated to allow for the reconstruction and expansion of an auto repair facility. Do we have anybody who'd like to speak on this subject? We'll have Jim speak first because he's the architect that's involved in this. So, give your name. Your name, please.
James Vincent DeLuca, I'm the architect of the job. I
And-
reside
and-
on 12 Linda Lane East in Riverhead.
And you have to be sworn in.
Jim, if you raise your right hand, do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give in connection with the hearing before us, the special permit petition of R&K, will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
First, I'm going to start off with a little bit of history of R&K. And
Could you raise the microphone up, please?
I'm going to start off a little bit with the history of R&K. And then I'm going to go into the variances that we sought and obtained. R&K was established not R&K itself, but the building was established in 1954 prior to the existence of both the building and zoning code. And at that time, as you know, the building code and zoning code respectively was 1959 and 1965. At that time in 1954, when the building was constructed, it was used as a potato grading and fueling for the farmers. In 1961, it was converted over strictly to auto repair and the sales of gasoline. In April of 1986, the present owners, R&K Precision, bought the business, and it's been in continuous use since then. A couple of facts. In 1990, the sale of gasoline was discontinued. In 1993, the mini mart that they had in the establishment was also discontinued. Presently, R&K has outgrown their existing facilities. Now, in front of you, I've given you a site plan that was approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals with all required variances, also with the determination from the Zoning Board of Appeals on all required variances. So at present, everything that's shown on those maps that you have has been approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Today, we're here to ask the board to grant a special permit for a pre-existing non-conforming use. And as I stated before, the buildings, the auto repair, and that has been a continuous use since 1954. All the people that work at R&K and the owner are Riverhead residents. And Richard has been serving the community around him since, as I said, 1986. And his business has grown because he actually does extremely good work. I can testify that personally. He does extremely good work. And he's also into old car restoration. And I have a little story for you after I finish this presentation about that. But now he wants to expand his business. And basically by the expansion, what we want to do is the front footage of the existing building is not going to change. Basically what's going to change is the profile of one part of it. The lower section, which consists of 1,274 square feet, is going to be demolished. And a new building in its place is going to be put in that same area, same width, and we're going to add an addition onto that, a continuing addition, as you can see on the site plan, of 3,000 square feet. And there's also a small outbuilding that's connected. It's a little machine shop of 302 square feet, which is also under the expansion. In front of you, you have a front elevation of what the building is going to look like. As you look at it, to the left is the new addition, and it's a 20-foot plate height, the same plate height as the addition. And what I mean by a plate height is that's where the roof rafters rest on, to accommodate the lifts that are going into that building. I have a small colored rendering here. Quick
Maybe you
rendering
can turn
I
that
did.
around and let the,
I can turn it around and sort of, I guess, put it over here. I don't know where you can see it.
You can turn the chair around.
Oh, okay.
yeah, there you go.
Good
I don't know
idea.
if that'll work in my slide, though. It's not working.
Look at, just so everybody can
Build a building again.
view that.
We need somebody to see. Well, it's, there you go.
Bob,
One of those might
Bob,
work.
could
One
you
of those
ho-
might work.
Bob, could you hold it?
Tara's getting the
Please,
easel.
just so they get up so he can speak. Okay.
Tara's getting
Go
the
ahead.
He's got the,
You have an easel? There we go.
thank you so much.
Bring up the heavy artillery.
As you can see to the right, that's the existing building, and to the left is going to be the addition. We're well under the height limitations. And as I said before, we've obtained all the variances that are required. Now, I said to you before I was going to tell you a little story. This happened on Friday. Rich has now become a celebrity. He had I don't know if anyone's familiar with the show The Porn Stars. Well, basically, the same producers of that show.
Yeah, Rick, we all know Rick.
Porn broker.
We don't want John.
This is Porn Brokers. This is not hardcore porn.
Let's not get this confused now.
So they came there Friday. They heard of Richard, and they came there Friday, and they produced a show from him because he is getting famous in his restorations of cars.
Is this the porn stars from Vegas?
Yes. And I can testify to the fact that he does an extremely good job on restorations of cars because he did one of mine. Actually, 2 of mine. No, 3 of mine. 3 cars. We're looking forward to expanding the facilities. And this will ease the parking that he has to keep cars outside, and he has lift outside that's going to be removed. Along with this, a planting buffer is going to be installed between himself and the adjoining properties, which is not there now. And we also are going to basically improve the look of the building.
Yeah, I just have 2 questions.
Sure.
Okay. The building itself right now does not look like this.
No.
Okay. And the addition you're taking down, and you're going to rebuild it to look like
that,
like this picture that we're
Correct.
showing. Okay. So this is actually what you're trying to tell us. Is this going to improve that area?
Absolutely.
As far as aesthetics is concerned.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you could tell by the design, I've tried to incorporate the modern technology of the building with materials that are conducive to residential materials. We're using the cultured stone, we're using lapboard siding, AZAC trim. We're putting a shingle roof rather than a metal roof on it, although a standing metal seam roof is also a nice-looking roof. But we're trying to keep the aesthetics of the building with the aesthetics that Sound Avenue and people that live on Sound Avenue would like to see. The only thing I can say is that we've had good feedback from the neighborhood, and I haven't had any negative feedback from any of the associations around that area. I can't speak for Wading River. I can't speak for Jamesport. I only can speak for Riverhead.
Most of the bays are entering, the bays are all on the south side?
The bays will be all coming from the west, in the back on the west side. The bays are going to be relocated. Matter of fact, recently I was in discussions with Richard and his wife. We're probably going to take the front overhead door off and have only the entrances from the rear, and we're probably going to expand the waiting room into that area and then put just windows in that one area. So realistically, there won't be any overhead doors from the front at all. They'll all be from the west side of the existing building and the west side, rear west side of the proposed addition.
So from the front of the building, it will not look like an auto repair shop?
No. No.
Okay.
Our looks are going to improve the building dramatically, I think.
I have a question because there is a right-of-way, and
Yes.
Junco Lane accesses a few houses that are back
Yes.
beyond there, and then you have the Lobster Roll, which is further to the west.
Yes.
So I'm just curious on this right-of-way, because I see you have the dumpster enclosure over on the right-of-way,
Yes.
and where is the dumpster enclosure now?
I believe there's no dumpster enclosure there. I think the
Okay.
dumpster is just there, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. It's in the back. It's in the back.
It's in the back. So, I mean, I don't know. The residents, you say, are in support of this. I guess they must have been notified at the zoning board meeting. Were they present at the zoning board meeting?
There were several civic associations member, I believe, and also I received calls personally from the people around, several phone calls, and they basically said to me if they needed my support for me to call them.
Okay.
But none of them had any objections. But when we take the door out of the front, we'll gain 1 or 2 parking stalls, so we can possibly shift that dumpster around to the backyard,
That's what I
which
was-
won't be a problem. That's a site plan issue that I can deal with no problem.
Okay, good.
That's not really going to be an issue. What I tried to do was maximize the parking for what I was working with at the time.
Sure.
But since we've gone through the design phase of this, we've talked about rearranging the interior to move to actually expand the waiting area into that bay that you see in the front door. So when we close that overhead door up, we gain 2 parking stalls, so we can eliminate a parking stall in the back and put the dumpster in the back. So it's an evolving process, but that is not an issue that is an impossibility or beyond that we can do. We
just
we
worry
can
about
do
the
it.
carting trucks if people are trying to access that right of way.
Yeah. Well,
And also the any other things that come along with dumpsters.
yeah. Well, there's a fence between the right of way and his property. Any of the carting companies can't go on that private road. I mean, they can, but they can't go there to pick up the refuge from the auto repair deal.
Who crosses over this right of way? Who is it shared with?
The right of way is not for this station. It's for the people in the back.
For about,
There's
about
one- there's-
10 homes back there.
There's
For
a
them.
house directly in the back,
Right.
and that's what uses the right of way. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, the history it is they split off the gas station from it, and that right of way was part of it. So that goes to the one house in the back. The Zodonko Lane goes to the other houses to the right. So that right of way, I believe, is only for one
one
structure.
house? Okay.
So your entry on those garages is going to be from that same, off that right away?
Pardon me?
West side, the entry into the garage is going to be there?
No.
Or is it around?
No.
The sounds right back here.
Is that right away can be improved?
When
Or
it's
service.
not ours.
Right.
It belongs to the people in the back. We don't use the right of way. It's when I say we, I mean
You're not going to really use it much.
no. It's not part of the station. We don't use it.
Right, so-
It's not used at all.
So just to clarify, it's not part of the R&K
No.
service station parcel. It's part of the fee title to the adjoining parcel, which is the residence
Right.
to
So
the south.
it's like a flag lot in the back.
Okay,
Correct.
so what currently exists along this right of way?
Nothing. A driveway. That's
Okay,
it.
so there's no fence, there's no trees,
There's a
no-
fence, a small fence between the service station property and the right of way. That's it. There's nothing there.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I got a lot of questions about the porn star, but I'll go into that later.
Well, to finish that story, they did. He's going to be a star on TV. I guess I don't know when, 6 months or so.
Wasn't allowed to say,
Yeah, and
secrecy till it airs.
but it's a good thing for
I watch it all
Riverhead
the time.
because you actually promote this kind of
That's right.
industry at the dock, at the waterfront, and he's becoming well known in this. And I think it's a good thing for Riverhead. And he employs people from Riverhead. He's been here. He's a Riverhead resident, so I don't see. I see everything on the plus and nothing on the downside.
That's right. No.
Yeah, it looks like
And
a
I don't
garage.
live far from it, so I'm not someone that's 20 miles away saying that it's a good thing for you, but not for me.
That's right.
No. And I like how the parking is in the back and it'll, show off the front of the building also.
Yes.
So I think it'll be an improvement, so.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much.
Do we have anybody else who'd like to speak on this subject? Yes.
He's in favor.
Good afternoon. Councilman Dunleavy, welcome back. It's good to see you back there, and I'll
Thank
make
you.
a prediction of many salads and veggies in your not-too-distant future.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Foley, and I'm an owner and summer resident in Reeves Park.
Mike, I am going to ask you to raise your right hand. And
Certainly.
if you would, Mr. Foley, do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give in connection with the special permit application of R&K Service will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm not here as an agent or a paid agent of Rich and R&K, although it might seem that way to you by the time I leave. But I am here as a founding member of Sound Park Heights, which is the Civic Association for Reeves Park. I am a member of the RNPC, and I'm here today to support the proposed special use permit of R&K Precision Auto Works and to ask the board to allow for the reconstruction and expansion of the auto repair facility. I know Rich since 1986. I'm not a friend of his, but I know of him. I have had maybe a half a dozen occasions in the last 25 years where my car's broken down. Each time I've gone to R&K, and each time I have gotten an honest and fair price and excellent work. So I'm really not here so much to endorse what he does, because everybody in the park will tell you he's always there for the community. He always gives the community a fair shake. I'd also like to talk to you about Rich's ability to clean up after every day's work in compliance with the codes that we have on businesses fronting Sound Avenue, and his consistency in doing that for the 25 years he's been in business. When you pass his business, from the time it starts to the time it stops, there isn't one parking space available in front of R&K. They're double and triple parked. So it seems like he's always got an employee maneuvering cars around. And within a half an hour of him closing those doors, at great time and effort and expense on R&K's part, all of those cars are gone. They are either moved behind his building or those people are gone. So I really appreciate that, because we have a stark contrast just west of him, about 100 yards west of him. And if I could approach, I just have 3 photos that I'd like to show you.
Give
Thank you
them to
very
Diane,
much.
please.
Thank you. And please keep them in order, because I have a copy here to refer to. Oddly enough, on Sunday afternoon, when we went by to take the pictures of the R&K garage, which is always in compliance, and Prime Movers, which has not been in compliance of the codes for years and is now getting worse. Oddly enough, the first thing that we wanted to do was to hit Prime, just to show you. It's not just the trailers anymore. They have these stupid cows that are now they are reproducing faster than the bison are on Roanoke Avenue. Always asking for a 1-800 number to rent me. Now, my question
They
to you,
just put those there, correct?
John, they've been there for 2 months or so now.
2 months now?
About 2 months, and it seems like there are more of them. So they, honest to God, seem like they're multiplying. Of course, those obnoxious moving containers have been there, visible, unmoved, for years now. So I guess my question is, when we take a look at a property, and by the way, the wacky thing was when we passed R&K, there were no cars in front of his property, which is always maintained, cleaned, and empty when it's supposed to be. Apparently somebody had to park their car to get into the lobster roll. And we actually waited about a half an hour. I guess the guy stopped for a beer, not just to pick up one of the kids that was working there. But R&K's frontage is empty of traffic when he's not in business. And if we had businesses that were this compliant, we wouldn't need code enforcement anymore. But the fact that we have an offender of the massive proportion directly northwest of him in the form of Prime, I just have to ask you, who do we need to call as a community in code enforcement to get them to do their job? Because I have to tell you, it's getting worse, not better. And in this day and age, where the Senate just proved, they just increased the debt ceiling, we know it's coming down the pike. You guys are fighting the budget every day trying to cut stuff. Well, if code compliance can write the tickets that are commensurate with this kind of a violation on a daily basis, it's a win-win. You get a little bit of revenue, and we eliminate an eyesore like this.
If you leave your phone number with Diane, I will have Kevin McAbee, who's in charge of code enforcement, give you a call tomorrow. Write down the times that that you're available approximately, and he will call you.
Councilman Dunleavy, I'll take you up on that right now. I thank you very much for that. I'd just like to close in saying this. Rich is a good guy. He's been here for 25 years. He takes advantage of nobody. This is a man that we should absolutely do everything we can to support what he does, because he's always been in compliance, and in my opinion, he always will be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And if anybody has any code violations that they see, our email addresses and phone numbers are all online. I get emails all the time. I forward them to the town attorney, who forwards them to the investigator, who investigates, and then code enforcement does go out and write tickets. So, you know, you're our eyes and ears, and we welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Dorothy O'Hare, Reeves Park.
Mr. O'Hare, Mrs. O'Hare, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in connection with the special permit application of R&K Precision Auto Works will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Diane, call me anytime, okay? Thank you. First of all, I want to reaffirm every word that Mike has said. We have been trying to clean up that place, that moving place, for years. Bernadette Voris was the one who used to come, meeting after meeting about that. But I'm here about R&K, and if ever there was a site plan that should be approved, it's this one. Not only because his place is always kept beautifully, but because of the type of an individual he is. And I just want to tell you a story. I'll try to make it as fast as I can. I came from New Jersey to come to Reeves Park, and I filled up my car at the gas station. I got on the road, I'm looking, and I said, oh my God, the gas gauge didn't move. Something's got to be the matter. But I'll be all right, I'm fine, I know, I just filled up the gas tank. So I come all the way out. On the expressway, everything else, I'm watching the needle, and it's going down and down and down and down. I got to Route 58, and it started to ding. So I said to my daughter, let's just take it to Richie's because I'm scared. Something's got to be wrong. The end of the story is I was robbed. He didn't give me any gas. But I got to Richie's. He checked it, put it up on the hoist, checked it again, put some kind of a gadget on it, and he said, there is no gas in your tank. I said, okay, fine. I said, give me a bill. Do you know what he said to me? Happy Mother's Day. So please, give him what he wants.
Thank you.
He deserves it.
And make sure you go there on Mother's Day, guys.
Yeah, that's good. Everyone's going to show up on Mother's Day.
How are you, George?
I'm pretty good. John, how are you feeling?
Very good. You have to be sworn in.
George Bartnick.
George, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I do. I wish that Sean was here today. I have a confession. We went shopping yesterday, King Cullen and Wading River, and we forgot the reusable bags. And I had to use 4 plastic bags, and I was going to bring them in today and give them to Sean so that he could line his garbage cans.
He can line his garbage cans.
So you pass it on to John, to Sean when you see him. Well, my name is George Bartnick. I'm the Vice President of the North Fork Environmental Council, and I'm here to make a statement on behalf of the North Fork Environmental Council Board of Directors. The NFEC, North Fork Environmental Council, strongly believes in being good neighbors between both residents and businesses. And we strongly believe that conforming businesses play a key role in the fabric of the North Fork and its way of life. Over the years, this business has served the interest of the neighborhood, as attested by the 2 previous speakers, while it has enjoyed non-conforming use status on its parcel. But the intent of such status is that over time, the non-conforming use should lapse and the property should conform with the current code. This is not the case here. And the appeal comes at a time when the public opinion is clear the rural and scenic nature of Sound Avenue is a public resource that is endangered and needs to be protected. If the town board would grant this expansion, it would go against both the letter and the spirit of the code, and it would serve as an unwanted, unwise precedent of the current and proposed businesses along Sound Avenue could point to in order to expand their operations in ways that are contrary to the very code residents rely on to protect this rural corridor. The NFEC supports local businesses, but given the circumstances, we ask the town board to deny this appeal as approval would, number 1, condone expansion of a non-conforming use pushing the property further away from any hope of evolving into a conforming use as the goal, as is the goal of the code. Number 2, it would grant further exception to the code where no overwhelming public benefit is at stake. And number 3, further encroach on a neighboring residential unit. And number 4, degrade the rural character of the Sound Avenue corridor. The NFEC believes that it would be a mistake to not enforce the code and approve this appeal as for the main reasons stated above, among others. Such action would not only reward this business for not bringing this property into conforming use over time, but would also give developers additional exceptions to the letter and spirit of the code and provide additional loopholes that they could turn to in their fight to build along Sound Avenue. It has been made clear that preserving the rural character of Sound Avenue is an important public goal for and both by residents and businesses. And in keeping with those goals and missions of the NFEC, maintaining the North Fork's way of life is equally important. Therefore, the NFEC board asks the town board to deny this application for a special use permit. With that said, I certainly agree with the testimony that was given previously, is that R&K does excellent work. There's no argument about that. As a matter of fact, a neighbor of mine had a restoration of, I guess, a 1951 Jeep that is just incredible. Regardless, there were 3 town board members who actually attended the NFEC gathering that we had in Martha Clara, I guess a couple of months ago right now. And I think that the town board should realize that a 100% expansion of a non-conforming use, especially in this particular area of Sound Avenue, would create a terrible precedent. I don't know what kind of a compromise could be possibly considered since this application has progressed to this stage, but it would seem to me at the very least that what you could do is you could have keep the same footprint, knock down the eastern extension of the building and build that, but the proposed expansion of 100% of the use of this creates a terrible precedent. I'm not aware personally, and maybe you can edify me, has there ever been any expansion, to your knowledge, in the last 6 or 8 years of any non-conforming business in Riverhead? I'm not aware of it. Is anybody aware?
No, but an interesting point that I would like to bring out is that when the master plan was adopted, R&K Collision was successful in beating the town in a lawsuit that allowed them to continue the use on the property. I see on this plan 1,274 square feet of existing building to be removed and replaced with 1,274 square feet one-story addition. So it appears as though the footprint is remaining the same from the site plan,
not
from
at
what
all.
I can see.
No. There's 100. If you look to the south of that, there's a whole new construction in the southern part of the building, of the part of the building that's going to be knocked down, the 1,700 square foot building. That's going to be rebuilt, and then behind that is going to be a 100% expansion of the building.
Now let me broach this idea to you in that the property is zoned business CR. Do you think that this property would be more suitable for all retail uses? Because they're not exceeding their impervious surface, they're showing the amount of parking, and business CR retail is permitted use, and as long as it's serving the surrounding communities. Do you think this property would be better suited as the uses that are permitted in a business CR zoning rather than allowing him to, if you had to weigh the two, what would you say?
The fact of the matter is, right now, this is a non-conforming use. If you want to go back and you want to change the town code to allow this kind of business on Sound Avenue, so be it. There are other car repair shops along Sound Avenue. That's not the only one. So, I mean, if that's the way to deal with it, then that would be the proper way to proceed with this. But to allow an expansion of this magnitude on Sound Avenue, especially in that location when there have been so many people from Reeves Park that have come out and they've fought the expansion or the type of development that's being proposed by Ken Barra there. This is kind of ironic that there's kind of a disconnect here between what they're saying on one side and what is being said now in support of the expansion of this special permit. So, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, given this location and the importance of Sound Avenue, as attested by the people in this town board that actually attended the event that we had, George and Jody and Sean at Martha Clara. I don't know, John, were you there also?
Yes.
It contradicts the intent of the code and what is in place there. Thank you very much.
But George, the expansion is going to be in the rear of the building. It won't be seen from Sound Avenue. That's the only thing. It's not going to deter with the architect of the building from Sound Avenue when you're driving past.
I agree with that 100%, John. It's just following the code. It's just following the intent of the code and the intent of declaring something, recognizing something as a non-conforming use. I have never been an advocate, John, when I was in the town board, of suggesting that a business should go out of business in order for it to conform to the zoning. I was never part of that. I never supported that. But this type of expansion in that particular area just is not acceptable to the North Fork Environmental Council.
Okay.
That's the position we'd have to take.
Thank you, George.
And something else you have to consider is that when they expand this by 100%, there is going to be a lot more business there, and how they're going to accommodate all the parking. I've gone past there. Now, I have no personal grudge against R&K. I mean, like I say, the neighbors all say he does good work. My neighbor tells me the great restoration that he did on his truck. So that's not the issue, and that shouldn't be taken into account. But the fact of the matter is that there have been cars, and I might be wrong about this, and he can clarify this, but I have seen cars parked to the right, to the east of R&K Precision, and that may be cars that were being repaired. Maybe those are cars from some other location. Maybe some neighbors are parking cars there. I don't know, but it seems to me that if you do increase the business, there is going to be a problem with parking the cars there until they're able to be serviced. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Yes, Dominique. You have to be sworn in, Dominique.
Dominique, do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give in connection with this special permit hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So, actually, first I want to get something, well, yeah, I might as well mention it has nothing to do, well, it does have something to do with this. I noticed you had the site plan, or you had this rendition, and I wanted to suggest what you did, what we're going to try to do for planning, which is to have site plans and renditions here. Like, ideally, when you're having a public hearing, that really would be better to be on an easel, and maybe the site plan next to it, so the public can see it, since this is a public hearing on that. So maybe you can think about that in the future.
I think we have
that be standard.
I think we have a resolution today that all site plans are going to have public hearings now.
Yeah, but that's through planning. That's through planning, and this is a special permit application. So since you're having, I mean, it was great that he put that up, but it should have kind of been part of the process, that would have been here on an easel and the site plan would have been here, so that during a public hearing we could all see it.
I think it was advertised, the ZBA advertises, Zoning Board of Appeals advertises when they're going to have the meeting on this project.
They do, but you can't see it, so,
No problem. We
yeah.
can probably hang it up on the walls
Yeah.
like we did when we were discussing FCAL.
Exactly. Easels or something.
I think what we can do is what the planning board does and what the zoning board does when they have hearings being scheduled, put it outside and have it available for inspection beforehand so people can see it. That's one thing we can do, because there is the cork board outside, and
Right.
do what our other boards do
Right.
so that people have a chance to see it ahead of time. So that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, always ideally, I think in the room is better when people are talking about it so they could see what you're talking about. So I think that's better than outside, but outside is better than not at all.
I'm suggesting that beforehand that could be
Okay.
up there.
Thank you. So, I digressed a little bit. So, we've heard a little bit about, obviously, what good work is done at R&K, and I haven't gone there. I have heard good things, but George is right. That's really not what it's about, in our opinion. Even though, I mean, as you can tell, one of our members, who was speaking on his own behalf, not on behalf of the RNPC, is very supportive of that business. But that's not quite. The RNPC has a different position. We do acknowledge that this might result in pretty significant improvement in the face of the building. I don't know that the parking situation would necessarily be that much better, because when he increases his business, he's still, I think, likely to have overflow parking, but and cars in front. Since his business will be increasing, that's the whole purpose of this. So what all this, the fact that he does good work and restoration, and he may be, an extremely nice man. I don't know him. He probably is. But it doesn't change the fact that what R&K is asking for would represent 100% expansion of a non-conforming use on Sound Avenue. And I was going to mention, too, obviously, when we saw most of you guys there, I don't remember, John, seeing you there. You were at that Save Sound Avenue? I cannot remember. Yeah, I don't know, but three of the board members were there, at least. And I guess we took that as being supportive of this cause. And it's hard to say, hard to protect Sound Avenue against over-commercialization if you approve 100% expansion. If we were talking about a 15 or 20% expansion, we probably feel quite differently, given that there are some benefits to this expansion. This isn't just a matter of moving the bays to the back of the building so they're not visible. It seems that 100% is just way too large for you guys to consider. The majority, if you considered a significantly smaller percentage expansion, if that were to be what you were talking about and were to be approved, then I'd like to suggest two things. That the rationale be spelled out in the permit as to why this particular business was allowed. An expansion, that the granting of this 100% expansion of this permit, that should be spelled out so that other businesses wouldn't be able to necessarily use that to expand their non-conforming uses or on Sound Avenue. Why is this one different? Again, 100% I would hope that you would think would be out of the question, but some smaller expansion. And two, if you did grant an expansion, a special permit for some smaller expansion, then I would suggest that it include a clause that precludes the property owner from seeking additional expansions. So that would be it. It wouldn't be 20% now, 20% later, and then, we've basically up to where we are right now. I'd just like you to consider how extreme an expansion this would be, how the growth in this business and the additional traffic could affect the historic rural corridor of Sound Avenue, and the bad and dangerous precedent it sets. It's not a matter of the work and how nice a person is and if he's a TV star. Those are all great things, but this is about a special permit for an expansion of a non-conforming use, and I hope we'd focus on that. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
If I could just have a few minutes to rebut. Mike Foley again from Reeves Park. It's not often that I disagree with Dominique and George. We have stood shoulder to shoulder on the Barra property, the Broidy property, with Sound Park Heights and Dominique is right. I'm not speaking for the RNPC, nor am I speaking for Sound Park Heights. I'm a resident and owner of Reeves Park. I know my neighbors well. This is my second generation there. And they are unanimous in their support of R&K's expansion and Rich. Just a few things that George mentioned. The first thing was the parking to the east of R&K. I happen to know for a fact that the cars that are parked there are mostly employees of the Lobster Roll, because the owners there say they cannot take any of the limited spots in that little enclave that, just to remind people, popped up in the dead of night. Those are the kind of expansions. I like the Lobster Roll. It never should have been built. It was something that was approved with nobody knowing about it, and we'll have that bone of contention with Mr. Hanley, same as we did with the EMB Enterprises, the Mr. Barra property, that all of a sudden went from residential to commercial. There is a difference between between a garage that has been there for over 50 years, that because they do great work, are expanding within their own footprint, and has shown for the 25 years that Rich has run that place, they're 100% compliance with the code. So I have every confidence, as do my neighbors and friends in Reeves Park, that no matter how big this expansion is, Rich and R&K will continue to be in compliance. It's that simple. But I think one of the problems when you have environmental groups that are not willing to look at the spirit of the law, that are not looking to look at exceptions for people that are doing the right thing, versus getting you back up against people that have shown that they don't do the right thing, that we lose credibility as groups. That I think when you pick and choose your battles, you apply a little bit of common sense, you listen to the people in the surrounding areas, and you say, you know something, this is what a special permit's about. These are the things that we're supposed to consider, that the town board is supposed to consider when looking at an application of a man in a business like this. And at the same time, hopefully, can get your backs up so that when we start calling you on compliance issues like that guy across the street, when we continue to talk about Mr. Barra's property, who I'm sure everybody here is aware, they have a very nice offer from the county that is mainly because of a 3,000 signature petition. The overwhelming support against that development, and us continuing to request the board to listen to the voters, and all of you have, and we thank you for that, as far as EMB is concerned. But these are the differences, in my opinion, that will make us more effective as groups when we pick and choose our battles. When we look at somebody like this and we say, this guy's doing the right thing, he's done it for 25 years, the community likes him, and this is a guy that should be allowed to grow his business. Not looking at a specific code that is supposed to be not just the law, but the spirit of the law. And just two other things, and then I'll walk away. Two of the things that George mentioned was the detriment to the community. Where is the detriment? I haven't heard one person north or south of this property that has spoken up against this man as a neighbor. So in my opinion, the word does not fit exactly what's happening there. And the second thing there, the rural character. As far as the spirit of the law is concerned for the rural character, I'll again ask you to take a look at this man's property, this man's frontage, after hours and on weekends. It is pristine. So I'll just once again ask you to not paint as a brother in the community, as a brother in the organization. I'll ask you to consider not painting every business enterprise with the same brush, because it will hurt us when we go after the people that, in my opinion, really deserve to be gone after. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dorothy O'Hare,
Go
and
ahead.
I also want a second bite at the
You were
apple.
sworn in, so go ahead.
Yes. I didn't find out about this hearing until almost lunchtime. So I have had no preparation at all to come here, except goodwill, all right? Nobody has worked harder than I have to preserve Sound Avenue. I led the fight. I did the homework. I got the master plan, and I worked on it all summer long. I read the whole 12 chapters. I could recite that better than I could a lot of other things. But the thing is, this makes it look more residential than it did before. What Barra wanted to do on the other side was a monstrosity. I was the one that did the homework and found out what 29 cesspools on that piece of property would do to a critical zone. Nobody knew anything about that. No. The critical zone is on the other side of Sound Avenue. As if pollution knows that it can't cross the road? No. As I said, nobody worked harder than I did. And it's not a case of, oh, well, you know, we like him and we don't like him. It's not that at all. That looks more residential than it does now. And to me, that's the bottom line.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, come on, Jim.
How are you?
Eric Beegler,
Steve,
Sound
Eric.
Park Heights,
Yeah,
Riverhead,
just-
New York.
Eric Bigler, do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
First of all, I was at the zoning board review of this site plan. I gave my support to it as a representative of Sound Park Heights. We continue to support his site plan and his improvement of the property. I don't need to reiterate what a good neighbor Richie has been. The establishment has been there since 1961, probably longer than most of you people sitting in this room have been in the town of Riverhead, and they've always been good neighbors, maybe not always under Richie's control, but going back and going back. I have a question, real simple question, and I hear making variations, making concessions to the gentleman's site plan, trying to do different things with him. What was done at the planning board hearing? Was anybody at the planning board sitting there saying, hey, this is too much zoning, this is too much depth, this is too much coverage, this is too much expansion? Isn't that what they're supposed to be doing? Isn't the zoning board of appeals supposed to be also looking at this and saying, oh, well, maybe the setbacks are too big before it gets to you people? I mean, you people shouldn't have to be making concessions. You should have, should have been gone over and over and over again through those other two departments, the process that it was supposed to serve. And then when it gets to you, there should have been a whole bunch of consensuses, a little give and take here and there between Richie, between the town, between the communities, and not sitting here now debating whether we should go back and negotiate with Richie the size of his expansion. I'm sorry, that's not your job, right? I mean,
it was testified
don't you
here.
guys have a lot of other things to do?
It was testified here that the zoning board of appeals approved this.
They approved the
Project.
setbacks, the area variances.
Yeah.
We have to decide whether or not, and with all due respect to the applicant and with all due respect to the residents of Reeves Park, I mean, this establishment has existed as an auto repair facility or that type of nature business for 50 years. He's been there for 25 years. We don't know how much longer he's going to be there, and we don't know what the guy's going to do that comes in after him. So with all due respect to everybody's testimony about what a nice guy he is, I'm sure he is, but we do have to look at land use. We do have to look at pre-existing non-conforming. We do have to look at the master plan. Some things make sense and some things don't.
But is that your responsibility? I mean, ultimately, it's your responsibility. Yes, I'm sorry. The buck stops in a certain spot. It does. But shouldn't this all have been discussed at a planning board hearing? Shouldn't it have been discussed at zoning board? And they should have just, if they said the same thing.
Actually, and you know what? I have to agree with you to a certain extent because it's in my opinion that if you're seeking an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use, which comes first? Do we say go to the zoning board to see if you can get your area variances for the setback? Because if they deny it, then it's a moot point to come to us and ask us to expand the pre-existing non-conforming use. After it goes to the zoning board and they approve the setbacks, then they come here and say, okay, now can we expand the pre-existing non-conforming use? Then it goes to the planning board because that is the...
So the planning board hasn't seen this yet? So absolutely, I mean,
The
I'm sorry,
planning
Rick could
board
probably.
has not approved it yet with conditions. I hope they haven't because they have to know that the variances have been obtained and that the expansion of the pre-existing non-conforming use is acceptable to the board before the planning board can consider the layout and what should go in between the open spaces or separating the properties or the dumpster locations or things of that nature. My question about the dumpster location was just, is that where it is? Now, you know, the planning board will say that. It's our job to determine whether or not 100% expansion of an auto repair facility is acceptable, and will it be precedent setting to where other people that have pre-existing non-conforming uses will come in and say, I want to expand 100% of my business because I get along with my neighbors or I don't get along with my neighbors. I mean, we have to weigh all of that when we decide whether or not an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use should occur.
So now this process is going to move to the planning board after you, let's just say, You approve it, it goes on, it's going to go to the planning board. The planning board's going to look at it and say what? They don't like the density coverage, or the density coverage doesn't apply to.
They will not.
It's your decision to make it whether it's the density is too much?
No, it's our decision to determine whether or not the density or the expansion of the pre-existing non-conforming use. If it was 10% or less of an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use, he wouldn't even be here. He would be able to do that as of right. So we're saying the code says it has to be business CR, which allows for this, 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 this. You don't fall under any of those categories that's permitted in the business CR. So are we going to say that you have a pre-existing non-conforming use and we're going to let you expand to 100%? And is that precedent setting where other businesses that are situated in a non-conforming use, I mean, we have other automotive repair places throughout the town that exist that are pre-existing non-conforming. So now do we let them perfect that? There's one on Middle Road, there's one on 25, there are several pre-existing non-conforming uses, and we have to be careful in land use that we're not precedent setting. If there's a unique aspect to this application that can be applied, that's what we need to hear, and that's what we need to weigh in on.
That's good. Answers my question. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, when we have a special permit, it's got to be referred to the zoning board if there's any variances that are necessary in order to be adjudicated there before this hearing can take place. And as you probably know, the zoning board, they're limited to the 5-prong test. That's an area variance test, and that's what the testimony is limited to at the zoning board of appeals. This is a little different. We're dealing with the question of the special permit.
Now, had they gone for a use variance where they said that the business CR was this was not a suitable location for business CR and had gotten a use variance for the automotive repair, they wouldn't be before us.
Okay, Jim?
Basically, I just want to answer a couple of the issues that were brought up. When you say precedent setting, no zoning board of appeals decision, as you know, is precedent setting.
No, but this decision could be.
But it's generated basically from that. This application was generated basically from the zoning board of appeals as the first stop. As you remember, I don't know if you were at that meeting, I approached the town board initially with this application to get feedback from the board. I don't think you were present at that meeting. And the feedback was positive. We proceeded to go to the zoning board of appeals. So their decision that they made on the setbacks, and I must vehemently disagree with George, it is not precedent setting. In other words, they don't have to grant someone else the same relief, the setbacks and different things that he asked for. And as far as some of the other objections that they had about what it's going to do to Sound Avenue and so forth and so on, I only have to agree with some of the other speakers. This business was here well before most of the people in this room were sitting here. And one thing I noticed many, many times when I go to these meetings and I listen to these groups, the people that try to either chastise or limit their growth were doing business well before they even came here. And if in fact the people thought as they think, they wouldn't even be here. So if the farmers thought years ago that we shouldn't have subdivisions and we shouldn't have this and we shouldn't have that, they wouldn't even be here. So when the laws are put in the books, they're put there, and they're relief valves that are put in there just for those cases. And this is one of those cases. None of those zoning laws, as you know, is absolute.
Right.
And that's why we're here today, because it's not absolute. If it was absolute, we wouldn't be here.
You're right.
So as far as Richie being a good guy, again, that has nothing to do with it. It has to do with his business, and everyone has assumed his business is going to grow. His business is already growing. This addition and these improvements are to accommodate his business. Mm-hmm. So the assumption that these groups makes is just what it says, assumptions. And they're bogus, plain and simple.
And that is a unique aspect in that the business already exists, and the amount of cars that he services are actually in the front of the building and, on the property, because he's allowed to do that under his pre-existing non-conforming use. And this is actually improving a situation that exists from that aspect. And, it's interesting that you say with the Sound Avenue being the farmers and the farmers saying, well,
Exactly.
you shouldn't be here.
Right.
And you know what? I did attend the Save Our Sound Avenue, and I kind of heard that a little bit, in that it used to be the thoroughfare from the city out to the east end,
Exactly, to
and
Greenport.
the houses didn't exist, so that was Sunrise Highway
Exactly.
back in the day. And look at what it's become, and a lot of it is residences and things of that nature, where if the farmers had it their way, we all wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
So
Richie is going to invest a lot of money into this property. It creates jobs. He creates jobs for the people that work in Riverhead, that live in Riverhead. He's going to create tax money of. These are all, and he's going to take care of his customers and put up an attractive building. I mean, it's all positive. I don't see any negatives in it. Again, we could sit back and throw stones at anything. But I find it very disheartening when I see groups trying to dictate how people are supposed to run and make a living and run their business. It's very easy for other people to do that. And as far as automobile repair shops, very difficult to find a good automobile repair shop today. It's a dying breed of places. And I might add, I think some of the boards have been replaced in this town for one reason. They weren't friendly to business. And I think this board has been put in place for one reason. They are friendly to business and to accommodate business to make this town something that people are proud to come to. So when I hear about past boards, I think the ideal word is past, not present. Thank you.
Jim, I think
One procedural thing, Mr. DeLuca, I don't know if it was mentioned, maybe I was dozing at that point in time. I just want to note that you did serve up affidavits of publishing and posting.
Yes, I did.
Reflecting that on the 20th of July you sent certified mailings and that you posted the property. So I just want to make sure those are incorporated and made part of the record.
Yes, I did. I handed him in.
Thank you.
Jim?
I don't know if it was mentioned publicly.
Jim, we can be friendly to business, but we also have to look at the surrounding community.
Oh, absolutely.
And see if that business fits in that community.
Absolutely.
I take, and I've criticized the associations for always being negative.
Yeah.
And this is the first time an association was positive towards a business that wants to move into their community, and their neighbors are positive. And I listen to the voters in this town on what they want and for their community, because they're living there. And I think that's the loudest that anybody should listen to, is the community itself.
Yeah, and the community in the area, I think, has spoken. People that live around that area have spoken, and I think it's loud and clear.
And I also would like to point out, I know it was mentioned that there's no public benefit there, and you had brought up a couple examples, of course, increased taxes for the town.
That's right.
There's jobs for the town, and I think the project's going to make it look a lot better, cleaning up that, so.
I mean, he's going to invest a tremendous amount of money in this, and it's going to provide
free
jobs.
service on Mother's Day or something, too.
Yeah, we heard about that, too.
Pardon me?
Heard about free services on Mother's Day or something, I heard.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Angela.
Angela DeVito, South Jamesport.
Do you
You didn't swear me in the last time.
the testimony you're about to give in connection, did you?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yes,
It's a long afternoon, Bob. As this is a public hearing on a application for a special use permit, I'm sure that the board is aware that there are some 18 considerations or tests.
Actually, I was
for
right
special
because the
permit.
testimony was in the prior hearing, not in this
The
one.
prior hearing. Well,
Okay,
I thought
so
once you
so
said
I
you
was
were
right
sworn
in the
in.
first instance. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God in
Yes,
connection
I
with this
do.
hearing? Thank you.
I was right. I stand corrected.
You were right. I stand corrected.
Yes, we were dozing.
In that there's been a question as to what is the jurisdiction of the town board with regard to a special permit use application. And my question would be that there are some, last time I counted, I think it was 18 considerations that must be met for a special permit use that are in our code already. And I was wondering if those have been approached with this application and reviewed and either discarded as not applicable, no, yes, whatever needs to be done on that, because then that is the due diligence of the board with regard to a special permit use application.
Absolutely.
And just a comment on some of the comments that have been made about members of this community. We are a single community. We are the town of Riverhead. And it doesn't matter if your relatives came over on the Mayflower or the second boat, whatever it was. As a resident here in the town, we all enjoy the same rights and privileges. And you should not, and I would hope that as a board, I just say hope, I'm not accusing you of anything, that when you deliberate on the public comments for this, as well as the information that has been shared with you from departments as well as other hearings, that you are not driven by the fact that individual applicant has been here longer than me. I would hate to think that the town of Riverhead considers applications and makes actions based on whether or not you can come in with your family heritage and build your ancestry line back several generations, 3 generations, whatever. We are all citizens in this town.
I can't imagine anybody thinking that.
No.
Well, that's actually what's proposed. So I'm just saying, I just hope that you don't, Jim. That's all I'm saying.
When I said I listened to the community, I don't care if you live there 1 day or 2 days, you're part of that community.
But there's been a lot. There's been a lot that has been proposed today that you have to consider that says that people with longevity perhaps get a bit more.
Well,
they're weighted a bit more.
I think they were trying to establish a track record that this man's run a successful, clean, good operation in the community for many years. We have businesses
That is
coming under
something that is
disaster.
commendable.
I think they kind of
It has much
establishing
merit,
that
Mr.
so much than the
Gabrielson,
lineage.
but it's not a consideration for your special permit use application. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Angela. Anybody else would like to speak on this? If not, I'm going to close the public portion of this and leave it open until August 12th for written comment.
Yes.
Thank you. And we have no more public hearings, so anybody would like to speak on resolutions? Yes, Sal.
Sal Mastropolo, Calverton. Resolution 589.
589.
I just have a question.
Okay.
Are the funds coming out of the
That's yours.
Riverhead ambulance budget?
Yeah, they're coming.
Or out of the general
Out of
fund?
the ambulance budget.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Resolution 600. The first resolve. Don't you really want it in the News Review rather than the Traveler Watchman?
That's debatable.
Right. Yeah. See that? I'm glad we have you here, Sal.
That's debatable too.
Same resolution. The notice of adoption. I take issue with the fact that the amended fee shall apply to all subdivisions which receive final plat approval after March 15, 2011. I think it should be after the date of this adoption, okay, because that's an arbitrary date.
No, that's the date that it was originally adopted. We're just amending it.
What was originally adopted?
For the major subdivision reduction.
Okay, so-
That was the date it was done, and there was some question as to when it should be effective.
Yeah,
So-
but if you read this, okay,
600.
did the $3,000 figure change now or change back in March?
For the major subdivision, the 3,000 was adopted on March 15th. There was a prior public hearing held, and it was adopted by the board on March 15th, 2011, under 108-97. Some questions arose as to whether or how that should be applied for subdivisions that were receiving final approval, and this was one thought of a way to just, demarcating a date to indicate when a subdivision applicant would be entitled to the reduction of the fee, as
Okay.
opposed to something that was adopted or approved by the planning board prior to that day.
I was under the impression that this one only has to do with the minor subdivision.
This one it was all with respect to site plan review, major subdivisions, as well as minor subdivisions.
Okay, all right.
And that was the way it went out to public hearing, so if we were to change it, I would think we've got to table it and do it over.
Well,
I think it's gonna be
we're going to
tabled
table it
anyway. We're
anyway.
gonna table this one.
Okay. Okay.
Resolution. Resolution 610. Go to the notice of public hearing, and about 7-8 lines down it says, the county will acquire a 95%, and then open parens, it says 90%, undivided interest, and the town will acquire a 5%, open paren, 10%, undivided interest. If you're going to public hearing, it should at least be correct. Change what's in the brackets if that's what's incorrect.
Well, it's 90-10 on the 2.6 acre, and it's 95-5 on the remainder.
Yes, but the percentages in brackets show 90-10. In other words, it's a clarification. We'll acquire a 5%,
I see what you're
open paren should be 5%, not 10.
I see what you're saying, yes, okay. All right.
Okay?
Yep.
And you want to fix that before it goes in the paper.
Yep, I hear you. Right, the written should match the numerical, the written should match the numerical. It says 5%, then 10%. 90 and 10 on the first parentheses, and then 95 and 5 on the second. She got 95 in the parentheses, she's got 90 there. So take the 5
This is
out.
going back up for another public hearing, right, Bob?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got to be correct.
This is on the whole.
I got it, I got it straight. I
It's
got
on
it.
the whole 172 acres.
No, both. It's 90, I got it straight. It's 90-10 on the 2.6, and it's 95-5 on the remainder. The first 90 is at 95.
I think that's what we're doubling.
We got it, okay.
We're going to have a public hearing, so we can hopefully get
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
our
it's just a-
questions answered before the public hearing, and then,
Yeah, it's just a public,
because, this is, right now, this parcel is preserved. It's the North Fork Preserve Inc. and North Fork
What we're
Preserve
doing, we're just
Company.
doubling
And-
the area we're preserving.
Right, we are, but 30,000 is coming off the tax rolls.
That's correct. Okay. That's
Well, you have to remember, every parcel we preserve, it comes off the tax roll, and the
So
rest
that's-
of the town of Riverhead taxpayers
Right.
have to pick that up
Yep.
in their tax bills, what we lose. And that's the consideration that we have to look at too.
Well, we'll send it up to public hearing and see what they have to say about that. That's all.
Yep.
Angela.
That's it. Yeah, yes, go ahead, Angela.
Angela DeVito. On resolutions number 603 and 604, where you are going to execute professional services agreement for audit services, is that for external, internal warrant audits or a forensic audit? What type of audit services are you contracting for in
Bill,
each of those
you're here.
instances?
These audits, are they internal or external? For?
Independent audits, there's one for the CPF fund and one for the Justice Department.
You know, when I say internal or external, there's different tests that auditors use. External, internal doesn't mean you have someone from the outside and someone from the inside doing it. It means that they're doing different tests on auditing there. So I'm just asking the nature of it. It's a comprehensive one then? It does both?
They're independent, meaning they're not somebody in.
Correct. I understand that.
Okay, so they, in that case, they took external audits. We're given an opinion on those audits themselves. The external independent audit firm, they have to be independent because there's no.
No, I understand that. Yes, I
They
do.
give an opinion on those, on what they audited, that they're.
So you're having an audit of your audits.
That's just for our use, correct?
Is that it? You're having an audit of your audits?
Oh, Bill, yeah, step over. That bill is just for our use, they're not going out to the state or anybody else.
There's two audits there, so which one are we talking about?
Well, I believe she's talking about
She's
both.
speaking about
One is
both of
ABZ
them.
for justice.
Actually, I'm talking about the nature of the audit that was.
for both
that,
audits.
so now what you're doing is you're hiring on both resolutions other outside auditing firms to conduct audits of audits that have already been completed. Is that correct? No?
That's not correct. There's
Okay.
two specialized areas, so we'll take one at a time. The first one is, we'll go with AVZ. That is the Justice Court audit. Okay,
Correct.
so that's a separate audit in addition to our general purpose financial statements audit. The second one is the CPF audit, which is required by the state, and that has to be, now it's going to get confusing, independent of our independent auditors.
Correct.
It can't be
No, I
the one that's
understand.
doing our basic financial statements.
Correct, I understand that,
Okay,
yeah.
so they're really not, they're going deeper into the CPF audit as based on state requirements.
Okay, so I guess my question is that, and it comes from doing school audits, okay, when we talk about external, there's different tests or risks for your processes that they do versus an internal audit establishes other risks that they test. And these are externals. Okay, that answers it. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Anybody else who wants to speak on the resolutions? If not, we'll go through the resolutions. Diane, you want to call the resolutions?
Resolution 585.
Calhoun Recreational Park Project. Budget adjustment, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 586.
Budget adjustment for the water department, so moved.
Unseconded?
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 587.
Authorize supervisor to sign annual agreement for Clean Vessel Assistance Program Operation Maintenance Funding with New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, that's EFC. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 588.
Calverton Park Community Development Budget Adjustment, so moved.
And seconded. Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 589.
Awards bid for installation of air conditioning in Riverhead Ambulance Bay Area, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
I've been speaking to people, paramedics around the county, and they say this is the wrong thing to do for public safety, that the ambulances should contain their own lockers that are of constant temperature in the ambulance, and not the ambulance barn itself. I think that we're trying to go for the cheapest way possible, and I think it's not good for our taxpayers who want to receive a good medical treatment. So I vote no.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 590.
Who awards the bid for the Meeting House Creek Bulkhead Renovation Project, so moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 591.
Appoints a summer recreation aide to the Youth Bureau Recreation Department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 592.
Awards bid for sporting goods, so moved.
And seconded. Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 593.
Authorization to publish bid for recreational sports items, 2011, so moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 594.
This will be appointments. Recreation, you want to put all these together?
Yeah, I have
594 to 597?
598, right?
598,
Well,
no, another one. 598.
596 is ratified.
Yeah, I'm trying to put them all together. I'd like to move 594 through 598. They're all seasonal appointments to the Recreation Department. If I can move them all together as one block. 594, 595, 596, 597, and 598. Appoint seasonal recreation aid to the Recreation Department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded on 594, 595, 596, 597, and 598. So, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolutions 594 through 598 are adopted. Resolution 599.
Authorize town clerk to publish and post a notice of public hearing to consider a proposed local law for an amendment of Chapter 101 entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the Town of Riverhead. That's Code 101-10, Parking Prohibited. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 600.
I make a motion that we table resolution number 600. So moved.
And seconded. Moved and seconded to table Resolution 600.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes to table.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution 600 is tabled. Resolution 601.
Amends Resolution 486 of 2011. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 602.
Authorizes the execution of agreement with Amy S. Green, Environmental Consultants Incorporated. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, this is paying for stuff, work that's already been done, and so we don't have to pay twice for it. We're going to pay for the first time. I vote yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 603.
Authorize the supervisor to execute professional services agreement with Albrecht, Virginio, Zurich and Company, PC AVZ, for audit services for the Town of Riverhead Justice Court. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 604.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a professional services agreement with George Wren CPA for audit services for Town of Riverhead Peconic Bay Community Preservation Fund. So moved.
And seconded. Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 605.
Authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with John H. Hall for services for care of Wells Family Cemetery. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 606.
This awards bid for the Building Department reconstruction. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 607.
Approves the Chapter 90 application, Riverhead Elks Lodge, 2044, lawn mower event and children's bicycle races on September 18th, 2011. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 608.
Approves the Chapter 90 application of Riverhead Elks Lodge number 2044, lawn mower event and children's bicycle races, October 30th, 2011. So moved.
And seconded. Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 609.
Authorize the supervisor to execute an addendum to an agreement with Merchant Services Incorporated, doing business as EVO Merchant Services Incorporated. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Aren't you happy, Diane?
Resolution adopted. Yes, thank you. Resolution 610.
Finally coming into the... Okay, 610 authorizes the town clerk to publish and post public notice to amend Resolution 938 adopted on December 21st of 2010 and approve the purchase of parcels located in the town of Riverhead known as the North Fork Preserve for active recreation use. So moved. And I'll move it as correct.
Okay, and seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes, for a public hearing.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes for everything.
Dunleavy.
Yes, as amended.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 611.
Authorize the supervisor to execute professional service agreement with Mulliman Incorporated for actuary services for town of Riverhead. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 612.
Resolution and consent approving the dedication of a highway known as Joshua Court, Wading River Woods, LLC. So moved.
And seconded. Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 613.
Extends bid contract for calcium hydrochlorate tablets. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 614.
Authorization to publish advertisement for water meters and accessory equipment for the town of Riverhead. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 615.
Extends bid contract with Waddell Sign Company Incorporated. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 616.
Authorization to publish advertisement for signage services. So moved.
And seconded. Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
You have 3 votes. Yep.
617.
All right.
Are you ready? I'm sorry.
617?
617.
Appoints a hearing officer, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
No.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
I had quite a time with this. I would love this to be broken into 2 resolutions, but it can't be. So I'm going to vote yes for this resolution with reservation. Vote yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 618.
I like that. I vote yes for reservations. I'm
what?
sorry, just took me.
Crowd pleaser.
I vote yes, but I have reservations.
Everybody. Peace.
That's different. Okay, 618.
I agree with John. I vote yes for half of it and no for the other half. And I asked for it to be put in
All right.
2 resolutions.
I-
They said that it could be,
All right.
and it wasn't done that
I
way. So I vote no for the whole
I vote
thing.
no, maybe yes, maybe no. 618, temporarily appoints part-time kennel attendant. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Me. Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 619.
Pays the bills. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
And now the resolutions are finished. Anybody would like to speak on anything other that's good for the town of Riverhead? Larry?
Larry Oxman. I guess the clerk mentioned that I had a letter, I guess, read into the record regarding my FOIL application 810, which was the same FOIL application, I think 435, which was given to the town in April.
Is that your wife wrote that letter on?
I'm sorry?
Same one your wife wrote the letter on?
No. What?
No, is that your wife?
No.
No? Okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So, I had made a FOIL request in April, trying to get an accounting of all of the legal fees that the town has expended with the litigation against Lawrence Oxman and Riverhead Park Corp. The town basically denied my FOIL request by not responding. Even though I was promised I was going to get it. I submitted a new FOIL request at the end of the last town board meeting in July, and that was also unanswered. You now have, I've now made a request finding out why the denial is. I don't understand what's...
Excuse me. It's my understanding that a written reply was sent out. It may have been sent out a day or so after the 5-day period of time, but it's my understanding from speaking with Deputy Town Attorney Bill Duffy that a written reply was sent out. Given the period of time that's involved here, 2004 through 2011, there will be a need to compile records, and I believe that's what the written reply is going to say, that we're going to need some time in order to put all those records together in order to satisfy your request for the information, the public records from this agency. So it's my understanding a reply was sent. You should be receiving it, and that's what's been represented to me by Deputy Town Attorney.
I've received nothing in the mail.
Right.
So I was also told that I was going to get a response from the April one. So.
Again, I'm told it went out, so I will, again, that's what I'm told, and I'm told that there's, of course, a 6-year history, almost 7-year history of records that are going to have to be assembled.
Bill, do you have a copy of that notification that was sent out to Mr. Oxman?
I don't have it with me, but it's in my office. I can go ahead and give it to him.
If you would,
You want me to address what?
that would be great, right?
Yep.
If you-
Want me to address?
Actually, the last time we kept you away for 2 weeks.
Good afternoon, Board. Just so the Board's aware, I did have a meeting a couple months ago with Mr. Oxman, and I told him verbally that what we were doing was compiling a spreadsheet of all the outside counsel fees, which is what he requested, and it was going to take some time. And I told him if he ever had any questions, he could contact me directly. He's chosen not to do so. He did file another request. When that request came in, I was away, and that's why we missed the 5-day period by like a day or two. I personally put his response in the mailbox. It's on there. What we we provided what we had so far in the town attorney's office, and we're working with the accounting department to collect the rest of the invoices. Like Mr. Kozakevich said, it's a period of about 7 years. It's a lot of data to go through, and we're working on it. And I should have a response within 20 days to everything he's requested.
So if Mr. Oxman gets together with you, you'll work out with him.
Anytime he wants to come down, my door is
Larry?
always open.
Okay? Get together with him and you work everything out.
I appreciate what you're saying, John. And I'm just sorry that it has to come to this, of basically putting things in writing, because I was told one thing. I did meet with Bill. He said it was coming. Sean promised it to me on several occasions. The town attorney said it was forthcoming, and it hasn't been. So I appreciate the town's effort. I do understand that it's a lengthy record to look at.
Just to be clear, I said I would speak with the deputy town attorney and ask him to forward it. I don't think I said it was forthcoming, so I just want to make sure we're not parsing words and being exact. I did indicate to you, I think at that second time that you stood at the podium, that I would speak with the deputy town attorney, ask him to put together a reply, which I understand has now been done, and in fact, if you wish to stick around, we can provide you with a copy of the letter that went out.
I would appreciate getting a copy of the letter. Thank you.
And to never apologize for putting things in writing. It's always good to put things in writing.
Thank you.
Angela?
Angela DeVito, South Jamesport. I just have several questions. The status of the town's court case based on who owns Center Street south of Front Street, whether it belongs to Donald Schultz and I guess Mr. Barrett at this point versus the town. Where are we with that in that appeal on the, I guess is it the Supreme Court decision first?
There was a settlement reached with the parties. There was a payment. There's a payment that's part of that settlement. I can provide you a copy of the written stipulation of settlement that was entered into between the parties. Essentially, there was a deed of easement provided to the town to establish our rights to that stretch of laid-out street, if you will, from leading up to the bayfront, and there was a portion that was conveyed back to Mr. Schultz, if my memory serves me correctly, in order to allow him to have a continuation of his use. I think there was a part of his house that encroached partially.
Actually, no, it was he had built steps off of his
Okay.
deck and put out
I don't
Bilko
recall
doors
the
into a public
specifics,
road.
but I know
Yeah.
there was a settlement reached between the parties.
And that's, yeah,
And
that would be something
and that's
actual.
been filed with the court. There was a stipulation settlement. I don't recall if it was so ordered or not, but it was made
Would that
part
be
of the-
available through your office? Is that a
It
Freedom
would
of
be.
Information request and
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yes.
The second thing I have is that there's been some chatter going on about having, as far as when site plans with the planning department are submitted, that there be public hearings on them and that whole thing there. Where are we with that? I actually thought I came today. I took off half day of work because I thought that was going to be part of today's public hearings and discussions. Well, it was printed in the news, Jim. I mean, that it was going to be on your schedule today, so I came.
I'm saying I'm surprised it wasn't here either.
But so I just don't. When are the plans to bring that forward? Do you know?
My understanding is hopefully it'll be part of the next town board meeting, which would be the 16th of August. It's been distributed, and hopefully it'll be on this Thursday's work session. Will it be on work session Thursday?
There is one.
Next Thursday? Okay.
Okay. And the last thing is that we've had public hearings. God, since forever. And one of the things that's never been very clear to me is that, for example, individuals, you swear us all in, and we're not asked to provide any written comment. I know this gets recorded, but there is no, at least from the public perspective, perhaps internally there is no sense of what gets done with the testimony that is presented and how you as a board weight that in your final decision. If it is used to change what you've decided was the course you were taking, whether you decide you're going to stay the course you're on. And I would just ask that in terms of when we conduct public hearings, we have this a little bit more process and structure to it. Also, the questions that you would like when you pose a public hearing, the public to answer. I mean, process with the state and with the federal government for their hearings that they hold on codes, rules, laws. They stipulate the questions that they would like the public to address. Those sorts of things. So just to consider, perhaps, giving a bit more structure to public hearings, and also so that we know how you've used what everyone has brought forth. Every party here today had some tremendous things to contribute to local town government. The question is, how does it get used? I don't know that. Maybe everyone here does, but I don't know that, and it's never been evident for me. So I would like to, amongst the many other things you have to do, to perhaps consider how you can address this.
Well, right.
We do.
Understand, we do. We get a printed copy of the minutes, and we read the transcripts of the public hearing, and we weigh what people have to say as far as what you weigh in, and what we believe, what we hear from legal, what we hear from planning. We try to weigh a lot of different things.
It's a little bit more structured in
Angela,
other governmental
things
venues.
haven't changed after a public hearing. When we hear what people have to say, things haven't changed.
Right. I think the board
Oh,
is
I'm not
very
saying.
open-minded
Yes.
to
I'm not
the
saying.
public,
I am
and
not
digest
at
that
all
as part of our
connoting
decision.
that does not happen.
Right.
Okay, I'm just saying that from the public perspective, we do not know. For example, if I go to a federal hearing, they publish summaries of the comments, and they also publish how they use them and how what they are changing with what they intended to do was affected by those comments. I'm not asking you to get into publishing this stuff, but it's just that when you take your final action, perhaps to give a summary of the fact that the public hearing that we had a preponderance of evidence given to us that showed that this course of action was appropriate, so we amended our action, or we
normally
stayed with our action.
When we vote on special permits, most of us make a...
On special permits, but on all, I'm talking about all public hearings.
I think that's
all.
That's good corrective criticism, and I think that we should talk about it, and maybe we should do something like that.
Well, that's all I'm asking is that it be
we do
considered.
findings when we adopt a special permit, or when we have when we deny a special permit. There are findings that come into play, and it's spelled out from A to Z as to why we decided what we decided, and it's prepared by the town attorney's office, and it's adopted with that action or that decision. So
It's adopted as you publish it for an action there, but it's not something that as a board you come back to the public and say, as when you get to that resolution, that this is the findings there. I mean, it's whether or not you can secure that. I'm just suggesting that there be a bit more coming back. I mean, I know that you don't sit there, hold public meetings, and just say, okay, we held our public hearings like we're supposed to, this topic required it, and now we're going to sit back and go and do what we want to do. I don't believe that happens at all.
I'd rather hear what you have to say. I don't think you're here to hear what I have to say.
Well, actually, no. As a public official, after we give you what we want to say, you're supposed to put it together in a form that comes back to us. That's why I'm talking about coming back to us.
Back and forth at public hearings. I do more listening and writing. I write a lot of notes.
right, I mean, when we publish and post for a public hearing, I know what the laws are. I know what I base my decisions on. I listen to the public. I see if I can incorporate anything that they're saying into my decision making, and I base my decision on that. And my yes or no decision is a compilation of those facts, in that I'm taking everything that's said into consideration and the law, and my yes or no vote.
But the thing is that in terms of giving a summary back so that the public understands when you vote, someone, let's say, who is adamantly against the original proposal, or who is adamantly against in the public hearings and that, and then as a board, you arrive at at a positive action on it. For them to understand that, what went into it, that's all. Not what you do during executive session or even work session, because all of us do not participate in work session. I'm just, and don't go overboard. I'm not suggesting you become, like what EPA hearings are, stuff like this, but that you do something that's in between, that's a little bit more informative. Consider how it can be done. That's all I'm asking.
You just want a summary.
That's it.
That's it.
It would be nice to see what happens to that. Bob, I asked you when you were in office, my very first public hearing, when I submitted testimony.
In my mind, and I'm making.
I did what the school district does.
But nobody knows. So.
I answered questions and got in trouble.
Okay.
Okay. The last and final thing that's right, touche. The last thing I would like to ask is. I guess it's the code committee. There was a special advisory group on looking at the specific code adjustments for assisted living, and I was wondering where that is. I have been in. I did correspond with Ms. Prudenti on that, and she said there was something floating around. And my understanding was that ad hoc committee group was going to be called back in to talk about stuff.
It's being rewritten as we speak.
Oh, okay.
And once it's rewritten, it'll be passed out.
Okay.
Right,
Thank
Rick?
you.
Right, it's still being drafted.
So it's still being drafted.
With the comments from the public hearing, as well as, also looking at the state legislation, because I know there was some comments about the state legislation and our proposal being inconsistent and confusing. So those comments were heard loud and clear, and we're trying to incorporate them as best we can.
I just sort of wondered when we were coming back in.
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
Nothing is speedy in government. You should know that, right? But it's being done, and it should be done shortly.
Every once in a while, you can hope, John. Come on.
Right? Do we have any other comments? I have.
I'll see you at Mardi Gras, all right, Saturday night, riverfront.
It is a parade. There's a parade at 12 o'clock.
I'll still be here tonight, I'm sure.
On Main Street. Motion to
Yes,
adjourn?
and Riverhead Energy Awareness Day is also coming together with that.